There is a village in Yorubaland that has no drums. Not because they are poor, but because of a debt they owe the sky. This is the story of how a boy's greed silenced an entire people and how one girl brought their voice back. In the ancient days, before the rivers had names, there was a village called Ilero, a place so blessed that Orun, the sky itself, would pause at noon just to listen to their drumming. The people of Iloro were known across all of Yorubaland for one thing: their drums spoke to the Orisha. Every harvest, every birth, every storm, the drummers of Iloro would beat their sacred drum, Iyalu Orun, the mother drum of heaven, and the gods would answer. Rain came when called. Locusts turned back at the border. The dead rested peacefully. But there was a boy named Adewale, clever, fast, and dangerously curious, who wanted more. "Why do we only call the Orisha?" he asked his father, the chief drummer. "Why can't we command them?" His father's face went still. "There is a difference between a voice and a weapon, my son. We have been given a voice. Do not turn it into something else." But Adewale did not listen. He had heard a legend, whispered only among elders, that inside Iyalu Orun lived a trapped sound, the first sound ever made, the sun's original voice, swallowed by the drum at the beginning of time. If someone played that sound backward at midnight under a moonless sky, they would not merely speak to the gods, they would control them. On the night of the dark moon, Adewale crept into the shrine. He sat before Iyalu Orun, massive, ancient, wrapped in red cloth and cowrie shells, and began to play. Backward, slowly, as the legend described. The air thickened, the fire died, and then the drum screamed, not like an instrument, like something alive and furious being torn open. The sound shot upward like lightning in reverse. The sky cracked, and then silence. Total, complete, unnatural silence. By morning, the consequences were clear. The drums of Iloro made no sound. Not just Iyalu Orun, every drum in the village, every pot struck, every hand clapped, every voice that tried to sing absorbed into silence like water into sand. The Orisha could no longer hear them. That harvest, the rains did not come. The next season, a sickness crept through the livestock. Within a year, the village began to die slowly. Not from one disaster, but from the absence of protection. Adewale confessed. He was not punished with death. He was given something worse. He was made to remember. Years passed. The boy grew into a broken man, carrying the guilt of a silenced village. But his daughter, a girl named Omotara, who had never heard a drum in her life, grew up asking questions. "Baba, what did the drums sound like? Baba, where did the sound go? Baba, can it come back?" He always said no, but Omotara had her mother's stubbornness and her father's curiosity. Only she aimed hers at repair, not greed. She went to the oldest woman in the village, Iya Agba Kehinde, so old she remembered the world before the theft. "The sound was not destroyed," the old woman told her. "Sound never dies. It only travels. The sun's voice is still moving. It has been circling the earth since the night your father released it. But it will only return to the drum if someone calls it with something it recognizes. What does the sun's voice recognize? Omotara asked. The old woman smiled slowly. Pure intention. The first time the drum was ever played, it was not played to impress, not to control, not even to worship. It was played by a child who simply wanted to say, I am here, I am alive, and I am grateful. Omotara walked to the center of the village that evening. No drum, no ritual, no elder watching. She sat on the ground, placed her hands on the dry earth, and began to tap. Not a song, not a ceremony, just a rhythm that meant, I am here, I am alive, and I am grateful. Softly at first, then again, then again. The villagers came out of their homes, watching in silence. Then, something happened. The ground beneath her hands began to hum. The sky, flat and grey for years, flushed gold at the edges. And then, like a river finding its old path home, the sound returned. It struck Iyalu Orun like thunder. The drum sang so loudly that people covered their ears and wept at the same time. Every drum in the village roared back to life. The rains came that night. They say Adewale sat outside his door as the rain fell and the drums played. And for the first time in decades, he wept. Not from sadness, from relief. Omotara never became chief drummer. She said the drums did not belong to any one person. But every year before the harvest ceremony, the people of Ile Oro begin not with the loudest beat, but with the softest one. Hands on the earth, eyes closed. A rhythm that simply says, I am here, I am alive, and I am grateful. They never forgot the lesson the silence taught them. The gods do not answer those who seek to command. They answer those who remember to be human. And that is why, even today, the best drummers in Yorubaland do not start with power. They start with gratitude.